Commander Olivia Mason stood at the viewport of the Earth Alliance vessel Horizon, staring into the endless black of space. The strange signals had led them here, to the edge of known space. For 3 weeks, they had followed the repeating pattern, unlike anything human technology had ever produced. "Commander, we're picking up something big on the long-range scanners," said Lieutenant Sam Porter, his eyes fixed on his monitor. "It's massive and it's moving toward us." Olivia straightened her uniform. "Defensive posture but weapons offline. Let's not start humanity's first contact by shooting." The crew moved with practiced efficiency, their training taking over despite the tension that filled the bridge. First contact. The moment humanity had speculated about for centuries. The object that appeared made everyone on the bridge gasp. It wasn't a ship, but an entire space station, a massive ring structure with 7 spokes connecting to a central hub. The design was unlike anything humans had created, with flowing curves and materials that seemed to shimmer between solid and energy. "We're being hailed," Communications Officer Ryan Ellis announced. "The signal contains translation software. It's integrating with our systems automatically." Olivia frowned. "That's concerning. Run security protocols." Before Ryan could respond, the main view screen activated on its own. The image showed a being with pale blue skin, elongated features, and eyes that seemed too large for its face. "Greetings, humans of Earth," the alien said in perfect English. "I am Zolvar, representative of the Galactic Council. We have been observing your development and deemed you ready for introduction to the galactic community." Olivia stepped forward. "I am Commander Olivia Mason of the Earth Alliance. How do you know our language?" Zolvar made a gesture that might have been a smile. "We have studied your world for some time. It is standard protocol before making contact. We welcome Earth as the newest potential member of our peaceful collective." The conversation that followed was overwhelming. Zolvar explained that the Galactic Council consisted of 7 advanced species who governed known space, bringing order and technological advancement to younger races. They offered medical knowledge that could end disease, energy technology that would solve Earth's resource problems, and protection from dangerous elements in the galaxy. Lieutenant Porter, the xenobiologist, leaned close to Olivia after the initial exchange. "This seems too good to be true," he whispered. "No advanced civilization gives away its advantages without expecting something in return." Olivia nodded slightly but kept her diplomatic smile. "We are honored by your welcome, Zolvar, but our authority to negotiate is limited. We must contact our government." "Of course," Zolvar replied. "We invite a delegation aboard our station to continue discussions while you establish communication with your leaders." When the call ended, Olivia immediately gathered her senior officers. "Thoughts?" Chief Intelligence Officer Kate Donovan spoke first. "They've been watching us without our knowledge. That alone is concerning. And they bypassed our computer security, without effort. The technology they're offering would advance humanity by centuries," countered Science Officer Ben Morris. "We can't ignore this opportunity." "Or this threat," added Security Chief Michelle Grant. "They know where Earth is. We don't have the option to simply walk away." Olivia made her decision. "I'll lead a small team to their station. Kate, you'll come with me. Jack, you have command of the Horizon while we're gone. If anything happens, your priority is to return to Earth with what we've learned." First Officer Jack Harris nodded grimly. "Understood, Commander." The shuttle trip to the Council station was brief. The interior was even more impressive than the exterior. Vast chambers with artificial gravity, beings of different species moving, purposefully, and technology that seemed magical. Zolvar introduced the human delegation to representatives of the other council races, the insectoid Vex, the crystalline Altheans, the gaseous Norai, the reptilian Saurons, the aquatic Hydrax, and the plant-like Florins. Each species was wildly different from humans in appearance, yet all treated the humans with a carefully measured politeness that felt rehearsed. As the tour progressed, Olivia noticed something troubling. Other alien species moved through the station, but they seemed to defer to the council members with an almost fearful respect. None of these other species appeared to have representatives on the council itself. During a private moment, Kate whispered to Olivia, "Notice how the council members always speak for the other species? We haven't had a direct conversation with any non-council race." 3 days of discussions followed. The council presented treaties for Earth to consider, agreements about trade, cultural exchange, and mutual defense. Kate spent nights analyzing the documents, growing increasingly concerned. "These treaties have hidden implications," she told Olivia in the privacy of their quarters. "This clause about development supervision would give them control over our technology. This one about security cooperation would let them station forces on Earth." Meanwhile, Jack Harris was dealing with his own situation aboard the Horizon. A small trading vessel had approached, requesting emergency docking. The lone pilot, a gray-skinned alien with 4 arms named Krell, claimed to be a Draxian merchant with important information. "Your species is in danger," Krell told Jack once they were alone. "The council isn't what it appears. They don't invite species to join. They absorb them." "What do you mean?" Jack asked. "They follow the same pattern every time. First, they offer amazing technology and protection. Then come the advisors and the restrictions, for your own safety, of course. Before long, council protection forces are on your worlds, and your people find themselves unable to develop technology the council hasn't approved. Species that resist disappear from galactic records." Jack studied the alien's 4-eyed face. "Why are you telling me this? Why take the risk? The Draxians were once considered for council membership. We discovered their true purpose too late. They harvest unique biological traits from controlled species to enhance their own. My people refused and paid the price. Now we survive as merchants and smugglers beneath council notice." Back on the station, Olivia and Kate were preparing to return to the Horizon with the proposed treaties when Olivia discovered a small device hidden in her quarters. It was unlike any human technology, a surveillance device that had recorded everything they'd said. When they returned to the ship, Olivia, Kate, and Jack compared notes in the ship's most secure room, with all electronic devices removed. "We need to warn Earth," Kate said urgently. "These treaties would put humanity on a path to becoming servants." "But we need proof," Jack countered. "Krell's word and a surveillance device won't convince the governments of Earth to reject technology that could end poverty and disease." Olivia stared at the star map, her face grim. "We return to Earth with what we know, but we don't break contact. We play along. The council expects us to be grateful and naive. We'll let them think that while we gather evidence of their true intentions." "And if we can't find evidence?" Kate asked. "Then humanity will have to decide whether amazing gifts from strangers are worth the risk of losing our freedom," Olivia replied. "I know which way I'd vote." As the Horizon prepared to depart council space, more council observer ships joined their escort. The message was clear. Humanity had been noticed by the galactic powers, and there would be no going back to their isolated existence. The only question was whether they would enter the galactic stage as equals or as the council's newest subjects. 6 months had passed since Earth's provisional acceptance into the Galactic Council. The initial excitement had turned to unease as the council's promises began to show their true cost. Captain Greg Williams stood at the command console of Earth's newest defense platform. The structure had been built with council assistance, which meant council engineers supervised every step of construction. Now, as he tried to access the weapon systems for a routine check, his clearance was denied. "I don't understand," HFY said to the blue-skinned council advisor beside him. "I'm the commander of this platform." The Zerthan smiled with too many teeth. "For security reasons, weapons access now requires council confirmation. Standard procedure for new member species. I'd be happy to run the diagnostics for you." Greg forced a polite nod, but his hands clenched behind his back. This was the 3rd such security measure implemented this month. Across the solar system, Admiral Olivia Mason was conducting her own investigation. After returning from first contact, she had been promoted and given a special assignment, integration coordination with the Council. What her superiors didn't know was that she was using this position to document the Council's growing control. "Show me the Corvan delegation again," she told her AI assistant as she reviewed footage from last week's diplomatic reception. The screen displayed bird-like aliens with magnificent feathered crests. Their movements were graceful, but limited, to the ground in short hops. Historical records indicate the Corvans were once capable of atmospheric and low-gravity flight, Kate Donovan said, entering Olivia's office. Now Earth's intelligence director Kate had been working closely with Olivia since their return. "What happened?" Olivia asked. "According to official council history, they evolved beyond the need for flight after joining the galactic community, but our source suggests otherwise." Their source was Krell, the Draxian merchant who had warned Jack Harris about the Council's true nature. Over the past months, he had become their most valuable informant, smuggling information about other species, under Council control. "The Corvans were modified," Kate continued. "After joining the Council, they agreed to optimizations for space travel. The Council altered their wings, claiming it would help them adapt to artificial gravity. 3 generations later, none of them could fly." Olivia stared at the screen. "And they allowed this?" By then, they were dependent on Council technology and protection. They had no choice. Meanwhile, Jack Harris was deep in Council space, ostensibly, on a diplomatic mission. In reality, he was meeting Krell at a trading outpost beyond Council surveillance. "The surveillance devices on your ships have been neutralized," Krell said as they met in a dimly lit storage room. "But they're getting suspicious. Council security asked about my regular trips to Earth space. We need to see their research facility," Jack insisted. "Without proof of their genetic harvesting program, Earth's governments won't believe the threat." Krell's 4 eyes blinked nervously. "It's too dangerous. The facility on Nexus Station is the most heavily guarded in Council space. Which is why we need to get inside." Jack placed a small device on the table. "This will bypass their security long enough for us to download their research data." Back on Earth, physicist Dr. Mia Chen worked in a hidden laboratory beneath the Pacific Ocean. The facility had been built in secret, using materials that blocked Council scanning technology. "The quantum field is stable," she told her small team of trusted scientists. "We've created a communication bubble that the Council can't detect." Ben Morris, now her chief assistant, checked the readings. "Signal strength is holding. Are we ready to broadcast?" Mia nodded. "Let's see who's listening." They sent a carefully coded message into space, a mathematical sequence that would appear as random noise to Council monitors but would be recognized as intelligent communication by anyone looking for resistance. Within hours, they received a response, a similar sequence with subtle variations. Over the next few days, more responses came, each from different coordinates. "It's working," Mia told Olivia during their secure meeting. "We've identified at least 12 distinct sources. Someone else out there is hiding from Council surveillance." "Can we communicate with them?" Olivia asked. "Not directly, not yet. But we're working on a more sophisticated system." The breakthrough came unexpectedly. While Jack and Krell infiltrated the Nexus research facility, they discovered more than they had bargained for. "These aren't just research files," Jack whispered as they downloaded data in the dimly lit laboratory. "It's a communication system, a whole network connecting individuals from different species." Krell's eyes widened. "The coalition, I thought it was just a rumor." "What coalition?" "A secret group of resistance fighters from various species. They say they've been working against the Council for centuries, but I never believed they really existed." As they finished downloading, alarms suddenly blared. "We've been detected," Krell hissed. They barely escaped, fighting their way through security drones to reach their ship. During the flight back to friendly space, Jack studied the stolen data. "This is bigger than we thought," he told Krell. "The Council isn't just limiting technological development. They're harvesting genetic material from every species they control. They're using it to enhance their own species while keeping others weak." When they returned to Earth, Jack brought the information directly to Olivia and Kate. "We need to contact this coalition," Olivia decided after reviewing the evidence. "If others have been resisting the Council, we need to coordinate our efforts." Using Dr. Chen's quantum communication system, they sent a message to the coordinates found in the stolen data. The response came 3 days later, a request for a direct meeting. The meeting location was a small asteroid in a system with no habitable planets, far from regular trade routes. Olivia took a small stealth ship, accompanied only by Jack, Kate, and Dr. Chen. They were met by a tall, slender alien with silvery skin that seemed to shimmer with faint light patterns. "I am Atara," she said in a melodic voice. "I speak for the coalition of free beings." "How many are you?" Olivia asked. "Not enough," Atara replied. "We have members from 23 species currently under council control, but we are few. Most accept their condition out of fear or ignorance." "And what exactly is their condition?" Kate asked. "Slavery," Atara said simply. "The council presents itself as a benevolent authority, but its true purpose is exploitation. They select species with useful genetic traits, absorb them into their community, then systematically harvest those traits while preventing the species from evolving beyond their control." "Why haven't you fought back?" Jack asked. "We have, many times. Each rebellion was crushed and the rebellious worlds made examples of. The council has had thousands of years to perfect their control systems. But you've never had humans as allies," Olivia said with determination. As they discussed strategies and shared information, a priority message came from Earth. Council representatives had announced new safety protocols requiring all human ships to have council navigators aboard, and all human colonies to accept council protection forces. "It's starting," Kate said grimly. "The next phase of control." Olivia looked at Atara. "How long do we have before they have too much power over us to resist?" "Months, perhaps a year," the alien replied. "Once their forces are established on your worlds, resistance becomes much more difficult. Then we need to act now." Olivia decided. It's time humanity showed the Council that we won't be controlled like the others. As they prepared to return to Earth, Atara gave them access codes to the Coalition's hidden communication network. For thousands of years, the Council has controlled through division. Perhaps humans will be the ones to finally unite us. The Council representatives aboard the Earth Defense Station looked confused. Captain Greg Williams had nodded along with their new security protocols, seemingly accepting the restrictions without complaint. Yet somehow, when they tried to access the station's command systems the next morning, their authorization codes had been changed. "A technical error," Greg explained with an apologetic smile. "Our systems sometimes reject foreign input patterns. I've submitted a repair request, but you know how slow our primitive human bureaucracy can be." This scene was playing out across Earth and its colonies. Humans had begun fighting back in ways the Council never expected. Instead of direct confrontation, they employed subtle resistance that left the Council officials frustrated but unable to prove deliberate defiance. At the Mars colony, Council advisors found their habitat environmental controls malfunctioning, always too hot or too cold for their comfort, but within ranges humans could easily tolerate. "We'll need to order special parts from Earth," the maintenance chief would explain. "Could take weeks to arrive." Admiral Olivia Mason coordinated these efforts from her flagship, now equipped with hidden capabilities unknown to the Council observers aboard. Her official mission was to oversee the integration of Council navigation officers on human vessels. Her actual mission was to spread resistance tactics throughout the fleet. "The Council expects direct opposition," she told her trusted commanders during a secure briefing. "That's what other species have tried, and it's what the Council knows how to crush. We need to be unpredictable." Military Captain Linda Hayes had taken this approach to heart. She developed a training program that appeared to be standard combat exercises, but actually taught techniques specifically effective against each Council species' physiological weaknesses. "Today, we're practicing defensive maneuvers in low-gravity environments," she would announce while Council observers were present. In reality, her troops were learning exactly how to disable the joint structures of Zerthan warriors or target the respiratory vulnerabilities of Norai commanders. Meanwhile, Dr. Mia Chen's team had developed technology that appeared primitive to Council inspectors but contained hidden advanced capabilities. Their new communication devices looked like standard radio equipment, but secretly tapped into quantum fields that the Council couldn't monitor. They're so focused on obvious threats that they miss our real progress, Mia told Ben Morris as they worked in their hidden laboratory. They're looking for weapons and ships, not communication innovations. Ben nodded. The Council species think linearly. They expect technological development to follow the same path theirs did. They don't understand how humans can leap in unexpected directions. On the diplomatic front, Ambassador Peter Grant deliberately stalled negotiations by exploiting the Council's bureaucratic nature. Each of the 7 Council species required separate diplomatic protocols, and Peter used this to create endless complications. "We need to clarify this terminology," he would say during treaty discussions. "In human language, this word has 17 different contextual meanings. We should examine each one to ensure there are no misunderstandings." Such delays bought valuable time for humanity to prepare. Beneath the surface of apparent cooperation, Earth's industries were secretly retooling to produce technology that would help them break free from Council control. Jack Harris and Krell had expanded their network of allies among subjugated species. Using the Coalition's hidden communication channels, they discovered that humans weren't the only ones resisting, merely the most effective. The aquatic naiads have been hiding their true intelligence levels for centuries, Jack reported to Olivia during a secure meeting. They appear simple to Council observers, but they've developed a complex underwater civilization the Council knows nothing about. And the Voth have been secretly breeding for resistance to Council control measures, Kate Donovan added. They look docile, but they've been developing immunity to the control drugs for generations. The Coalition grew as humans taught other species their methods of passive resistance. Itera, their meridian contact, was initially skeptical of the human approach. "Your tactics seem too subtle," she told Olivia during one of their clandestine meetings. "The Council responds only to force." "That's exactly why we're not using force yet," Olivia explained. "The moment we show military resistance, they'll bring in their armadas. Instead, we're building a foundation they can't see." The Council's frustration became increasingly evident. During a high-level meeting at their central station, Councillor Zolvar addressed the growing problems. "Humanity's integration is proceeding more slowly than anticipated," he told the other Council representatives. "Their systems are surprisingly incompatible with our standard control protocols." "Perhaps we should accelerate the process," suggested the Vex representative, mandibles clicking. "Introduce the neural compliance measures earlier than planned." Zolvar considered this. "That could provoke the resistance we're trying to avoid." "Remember the Draxit disaster." "No, we must maintain the illusion of partnership until our position on their worlds is stronger." What the Council didn't realize was that their private meeting wasn't as secure as they believed. One of the service drones maintaining the chamber carried a tiny human listening device, transmitting every word back to Earth. By the 4th month of resistance, the patterns were clear. Council officials reported declining human productivity and technological development according to official metrics. All data suggested humanity was accepting their subordinate role and even regressing under Council guidance. Yet Council representatives on Earth reported unusual confidence among human leaders. Instead of the depression and resignation seen in other species during the integration phase, humans maintained optimism and energy that didn't match their apparent situation. The Council dispatched their elite investigative unit to determine what humanity was hiding. Led by the coldly efficient Althean investigator Theros, they began thorough inspections of human facilities. They found nothing obvious, no secret weapon stockpiles or hidden fleets. What they couldn't detect was the network of resistance that had spread throughout human space and beyond. During an inspection of Earth's primary defense academy, Theros observed a training exercise led by Captain Linda Hayes. "Your combat techniques are primitive," the crystalline alien noted. "Your species relies too much on physical strength and not enough on energy manipulation." Linda bowed respectfully. "We have much to learn from the Council's advanced methods." Later, that day, after the inspectors left, Linda's real training continued in shielded underground facilities. There, Human soldiers practiced neutralizing Althean crystalline bodies with targeted sonic pulses, a vulnerability the Council believed no subject species had discovered. Across the solar system, this pattern repeated. Surface compliance masked deep resistance. Council observers reported success while the foundations of their control were being systematically undermined. The Coalition provided crucial support, sharing centuries of knowledge about Council weaknesses. In return, humans taught their new allies how to resist without appearing to resist, a concept many had never considered. The Council expects either compliance or rebellion, Jack explained during a meeting with representatives from 5 different species. They have no protocol for dealing with malicious compliance. As the Council investigation intensified, Admiral Olivia Mason knew their window of opportunity was narrowing. Soon, the Council would realize something was wrong and respond with overwhelming force. "We need to accelerate our timeline," she told her command staff. "The Council is starting to notice the discrepancies. We may have weeks, not months, before they move against us." The next phase would be dangerous, transitioning from passive resistance to active countermeasures. If they moved too soon, they would be crushed. If they waited too long, the Council would discover their preparations and destroy them anyway. The moment of truth came when Theros' investigation team requested access to Dr. Mia Chen's laboratory. The Council had finally detected unusual energy signatures from the facility and wanted to inspect it personally. "If they see what we're really developing, the game is over," Mia told Olivia urgently. "We need to make our move now." Olivia took a deep breath and sent the coded message that would activate resistance cells throughout Council space. "Sunrise Protocol is now active." The Council's patience ran out suddenly. Without warning, a massive armada of Council ships appeared in Earth's orbit. The fleet was 10 times larger than anything humans had ever assembled. Hundreds of vessels with weapons capable of reducing cities to ash. On every communication channel across Earth and its colonies, Councillor Zolvar's face appeared. His usual diplomatic smile was gone, replaced by cold determination. "People of Earth," he announced, "we have discovered your deception. Your leaders have rejected the Council's generous guidance and have secretly planned rebellion. This behavior cannot be tolerated for the greater galactic harmony." In orbit around Mars, a small research station suddenly erupted in a blinding explosion. The station had been evacuated days earlier as part of Olivia's Sunrise Protocol, but the Council didn't know that. "This demonstration shows our resolve," Zolvar continued. "You have 6 Earth hours to surrender all military command to Council supervisors. If you refuse, we will target major population centers." In the secure command bunker beneath the Pacific Ocean, Earth's leaders gathered for an emergency meeting. Admiral Olivia Mason addressed the grim-faced officials. "They've moved faster than we expected," she admitted. "But we're not unprepared. For months, we've been building our defenses while appearing to comply with their demands." "What defenses?" asked the European Union president. "Their fleet outguns us 100 to 1. Captain Greg Williams stepped forward. "That's what they believe. The ships and weapons they've seen are only what we've allowed them to see." On screens around the room, hidden installations across Earth and throughout the solar system began powering up. Beneath the lunar surface, massive cannons emerged from concealed bays. In Earth's orbit, satellites that had appeared to be simple communication relays transformed, revealing advanced weapon systems. "Dr. Chen," Olivia said, turning to the physicist, "is the shield network ready?" Mia nodded. "The emitters are in place. We've never tested the full system, but the simulations are promising." As Council forces began moving to seize key Earth installations, they encountered the first surprise. The seemingly compliant defense systems suddenly revealed hidden capabilities. Weapons that Council inspectors had certified as primitive proved far more advanced than reported. "Activate the planetary shield," Olivia ordered. Across the globe, hidden generators engaged. A shimmering energy field began to form around the planet, starting at strategic points and gradually expanding to create a protective bubble. On the Council flagship, Zolvar watched in disbelief as his sensors reported the unexpected defense. "Impossible," he hissed. "Their technology is decades away from planetary shielding. The shield won't hold forever, Mia warned as she monitored the system. Maybe 48 hours at most. It was designed for meteors, not a sustained military assault. It doesn't need to hold forever, Olivia replied. Just long enough. In space, Admiral Olivia's fleet appeared hopelessly outgunned. The human ships were fewer and smaller than their Council counterparts. But appearances were deceiving. Each vessel contained stealth systems and weapons the Council could not detect. All ships, execute Pattern Omega, Olivia commanded from her flagship. Human fleet broke into smaller groups, each targeting specific weaknesses in Council vessel design. Using tactics developed specifically to exploit vulnerabilities that the Coalition had identified, they managed to hold their own against superior numbers. A Council dreadnought exploded as a small human corvette delivered a precision strike to its power core, a weakness the Council thought no subject species knew about. Meanwhile, Jack Harris and Krell activated their network of allies throughout Council space. The timing had been coordinated through Dr. Chen's hidden quantum communication system. As Council forces focused on Earth, simultaneous uprisings erupted on dozens of worlds. The Corvans, who had been unable to fly for generations, revealed hidden biological treatments that had been secretly distributed. Suddenly, the bird-like aliens took to the skies of their homeworld, overwhelming the surprised Council security forces. The telepathic Meridians, led by Atara, deactivated their dampening devices and used their restored abilities to confuse and disorient Council commanders. Even the seemingly docile Voth revealed their true nature, their enhanced immune systems allowing them to shrug off the control drugs that had kept them compliant. The Council, never having faced coordinated resistance across multiple fronts, found their forces stretched thin. For the first time in thousands of years of dominance, they faced a genuine threat to their control. On Earth, Linda Hayes led a ground assault to retake a Council command post that had been established in what was once the United Nations headquarters. Her troops used the specialized techniques they had secretly practiced, targeting specific weaknesses of each Council species. They expected us to fight like other species they've conquered, Linda told her soldiers before the attack. Instead, we'll fight like humans, adaptable, creative, and unpredictable. The Council forces, trained to counter conventional attacks, were unprepared for Linda's unorthodox tactics. Within hours, the command post was back in human hands. Across the solar system, similar victories were being reported. Council forces found themselves outmaneuvered by opponents they had underestimated. The species they had seen as primitive was revealing capabilities far beyond Council intelligence estimates, but the Council still held a powerful advantage. Their fleet, though bloodied, remained largely intact and had begun a sustained bombardment of Earth's shield. Sensors showed the protective bubble weakening under the assault. In his command center, Zolvar received increasingly alarming reports from throughout Council space. The coordinated rebellions were spreading faster than they could be contained. Centuries of careful control were unraveling in days. "Deploy the final measure," he ordered, his voice cold. "Activate the neural disruptor." This was the Council's doomsday weapon, a device capable of disrupting neural activity in specific species. The plan was to temporarily disable human brain function across Earth, allowing for complete takeover. The technology had been used only twice in Council history, against species that had proven particularly difficult to subjugate. On the Council's weapons platform, technicians prepared to aim the device at Earth. What they didn't know was that Coalition operatives had infiltrated the facility months earlier. Jack Harris and Atara led the sabotage team that had modified the weapon's targeting systems. As the massive device powered up, Jack sent a final coded message to Olivia. "Package is ready for delivery." Olivia turned to her staff. "All forces, prepare for Operation Blackout. This will be over soon, one way or another." Earth's shield was failing under the continued assault. Council ships moved into position for the final attack. On screens around the world, humans watched as the massive weapon platform aimed toward their planet. Zolvar's face appeared on communication channels again. "Your resistance was impressive but futile. The Council has maintained order for 10,000 years. Your species will now accept its proper place in our hierarchy." The weapon fired, a blinding beam of energy that sliced through space toward Earth. But instead of striking the planet, it reflected back toward the Council fleet, altered by the sabotage team's modifications. Across the Council armada, a wave of disruption spread as the neural implants Council leaders used to coordinate their activities suddenly failed. For the first time in millennia, the 7 Council species found themselves unable to maintain their unified command structure. Confusion spread through their fleet as the carefully orchestrated attack dissolved into chaos. Ships began firing on each other as communication broke down between the different species. Olivia's voice cut through all Earth channels. All forces engage now. The Council is vulnerable. The Council's doomsday weapon had failed spectacularly. Instead of disabling human neural function, it had disrupted the Council leader's own command implants. The once unified alien armada had fallen into disarray, with ships firing on each other in confusion. Admiral Olivia Mason seized the opportunity. All ships advance by squadron. Target their flagship and command vessels first. The human fleet moved with coordinated precision, striking at the heart of the Council forces. What had seemed like certain defeat for humanity just minutes ago had transformed into a winnable battle. From her flagship's bridge, Olivia watched as the tactical display showed Council ships retreating or surrendering. "Prepare boarding teams," she ordered. "We're taking their central habitat ring." Captain Linda Hayes led the first wave of boarding parties. Her troops, trained specifically for this moment, used non-lethal weapons designed to incapacitate each Council species without killing them. "Remember, we want control, not revenge," she reminded her soldiers as they prepared to board. "The goal is to capture their leadership and command systems intact." Meanwhile, Jack Harris and Atara guided their sabotage team through the Council's central habitat. With the neural network down, the once secure facility was vulnerable. Council guards, accustomed to receiving constant tactical updates through their implants, were disoriented and easily neutralized. "The main communication hub should be 2 levels up," Atara said, her silvery skin glowing faintly in the dimmed emergency lighting. Jack nodded. "Once we control that, Ambassador Grant can broadcast the evidence of Council manipulation to all galactic species simultaneously." Throughout Council space, the carefully planned revolution was unfolding. Species that had been controlled for generations discovered they outnumbered their oppressors thousands to 1. The Council's carefully maintained illusion of benevolent inevitability was shattering. On the Corvin homeworld, the newly flight-capable bird people soared above Council security forces, dropping disabling devices that cut off their communications. The Corvins had lived without flight for so long that the Council had removed anti-air defenses as unnecessary. A fatal miscalculation. The aquatic naiads emerged from their oceanic depths in ships the Council never knew they had built, blockading Council bases on their water-covered world. Even the plant-like Florans, thought to be the most docile of controlled species, revealed their resistance by releasing spores that grew at incredible rates, entangling Council facilities and living bonds. Back on the Council habitat ring, Olivia's forces secured the central command chamber. Councillor Zolvar and the other 6 Council representatives were found huddled in a secure room, their neural implants flickering erratically. "It's over," Olivia told them as her troops secured the chamber. "Your control of the galaxy ends today." Zolvar looked up, his large eyes blinking in confusion. Without his implant guiding his thoughts, he seemed smaller, less imposing. "You don't understand what you've done," he said weakly. "The Council maintains order. Without us, there will be chaos." "Not control, cooperation," Olivia replied. "That's what we're offering instead." With the central command secured, Ambassador Peter Grant began the broadcast. Using the Council's own communication network, he transmitted the evidence Jack and Krell had gathered months earlier. Proof of the Council's genetic harvesting program, their deliberate suppression of member species, and their millennia of manipulation. "People of the galaxy," Peter's voice echoed across thousands of worlds. "For too long, the Council has claimed to represent unity while enforcing control. Today we offer a different path, a true galactic alliance based on mutual respect and cooperation. As the evidence spread, rebellion erupted across Council space. Species that had been controlled for generations discovered they outnumbered their oppressors thousands to one. The Council's carefully maintained image of invincibility shattered completely. Dr. Mia Chen and her team arrived at the Council habitat 3 days after its capture. They brought with them their most important breakthrough, technology that could safely remove the biological and technological controls the Council had placed on subjugated species. The process is entirely voluntary, Mia explained to representatives of various species who had gathered in what was once the Council's main assembly hall. But our tests show it can reverse the genetic modifications the Council imposed without harmful side effects. The Corvans were among the first to volunteer. After generations of being earthbound, their young could now regain their ancestral ability to soar through the skies. The Meridians freed themselves from the telepathic dampeners they had been forced to wear, their minds connecting in ways that had been forbidden for centuries. In the weeks that followed, humanity faced its greatest challenge, building something better than what they had torn down. Captain Linda Hayes was appointed to oversee the dismantling of Council weapons stockpiles, while ensuring no single species, including humans, could dominate others. The temptation to replace the Council with human leadership is strong, Olivia warned during a meeting with Earth's government. But that would make us no better than those we defeated. Our goal must be partnership, not control. The 7 former Council species, now stripped of their advantage, had to integrate as equals into the new galactic community. Some, like the scholarly Altheans, adapted well to the new order. They offered their vast knowledge repositories to all species, no longer keeping scientific advances for themselves. Others, like the militant Zerthans, struggled with their diminished status. Without their neural implants and biological enhancements, they found themselves physically weaker than many species they had once controlled. They'll need time to adjust, Jack told Olivia as they watched a group of Zerthan representatives arguing with former subject species. They've believed in their own superiority for thousands of years. They'll learn, Olivia replied. Just as we'd have to learn if our positions were reversed. 3 months after the Council's fall, representatives from 23 formerly subjugated species in the 7 former Council races gathered aboard Admiral Mason's flagship. There they signed a new galactic charter, one that guaranteed the rights of all intelligent species to develop without interference. As the signing ceremony concluded, Olivia stood at the viewport looking out at the stars. Krell joined her, his forearms folded in a gesture of contemplation. Your species did what none of us thought possible, the Draxian merchant said, not just defeating the Council, but offering something better in its place. Olivia smiled. Humans have spent our history fighting each other over our differences. Perhaps that's why we couldn't accept being controlled, and why we understand the importance of true freedom. The Council's greatest mistake wasn't trying to control humans, Krell observed. It was failing to understand that your greatest talent is teaching others to be free. As the new Galactic Alliance took its first uncertain steps, challenges remained. Ancient rivalries between species resurfaced without Council control to suppress them. Resource disputes and territorial questions required constant negotiation. But unlike the forced peace of the Council era, these problems were being addressed through cooperation rather than control. Species that had been enemies under Council rule found common ground in their shared experience of oppression and liberation. Humanity's role was not to rule, but to guide, sharing the principles of self-determination that Earth's nations had struggled with for centuries. The path would not be easy, but for the first time in millennia, the galaxy's future belonged to all its peoples. Olivia looked at the stars again, thinking of all the worlds now charting their own destinies. This is just the beginning, she said softly. The real work starts now.